to the Entrepreneurial CPA Show. In case you missed our live webinar series on the evolution of advisory, don't worry. You can check out here what you missed. This episode is about how you can go gig. Learn from Adam Hale of Summit Group CPAs, how they do outsourced virtual CFO work like nobody else, and contact him to get started to bring it to your firm. The man, the legend from Fort Wayne, Indiana, he and his firm Summit, they do outsourced CFO work, and they run a CPA firm, I think better than almost anybody else in the country in what they're doing and how good they are at how they do it. And they've recently started with partnering with other CPA firms to take their outsourced CFO process and deploy for their clients to take them to that next level. So Adam, thanks for being here today. I think you're going to kick it off with some slides for us and take us through some good stuff.
Yeah, I guess you brought me here to round out the bearded trio, so I will.
Yes, obviously, yeah.
Yeah, let me share my
Dr.
screen
Sean,
here.
don't bring that in.
Yeah, you guys needed you needed to outsource that to the gig economy. So, so here I am, and the deck's more for you than it is me. Otherwise, I can just kind of talk about this stuff for hours. So to try to kind of stay on point, I guess, I'd love to hear what the guys had to say, and I'm probably going to reach out to both of them individually because I can see where I, as running a firm, could use both of their services. But what we do is a little bit different, and maybe in some instances, perhaps a little contradictory to some of that stuff. Not because there's anything wrong with it, just a different way to look at it and kind of how we built our firm. So at Summit CPA Group, we consider ourselves a full stack VCFO firm. So we've been at this thing for a little over 15 years. We built it to a little bit over 40 employees, fully distributed, meaning that we don't have a brick and mortar location. Everybody works from home. Our clients are all over the country, so we figured, why can't our team? So we're fully distributed in that standpoint. And then whenever it comes to our growth trajectory, we're looking at 5 to 10 conservatively adding people per year. So we're going pretty good, but we have a few things in the pipeline that could, double or triple our team over the next couple of years. So we're pretty excited about that. We work with over 100 really perpetual weekly client relationships. So we're working with our clients every single week. So we're not doing once a month, once a quarter, that kind of a thing. We're a part of their team. We do 100% value bill, nothing hourly. And our average client relationship right now is about $55,000 a year. Depending upon, it goes anywhere from on the low end, like 40,000, on the high end, about 100 and 110,000, depending on what they're looking for. So, the biggest thing is we're not the traditional CPA firm. In terms of not necessarily in what we do, but just how we deliver it, I think is the big thing. And where I take a little bit of, where I deviate a little bit from the gig economy, because from my perspective, it kind of implies short-term engagements. For us, we're kind of more a part of the subscription economy. So, the big thing is that, whenever you're looking at the short-term stuff, the gig economy, you're able to tap into experts. So that's us. We're able to do that. So we like the outsourcing part, but the other piece is a little bit different for us. And if you're good with the big windfalls, the roller coaster rides that short-term engagements make, there's nothing wrong with them. Hell, those people probably make more money than I do. It's just, this is not what we decided to be. We're not the 3-ring binder type, and we're not gunslingers. So, that said, the only thing that we really learned over the years is there's really no silver bullet to business. So, sure, there are things that specific solutions for specific problems, and Josh's team is great for that. But the clients that we're trying to serve are about those $3 to $20 million a year businesses, pretty industry agnostic, that need more of a consistency inside of their workflow. And so what we're looking to solve, whenever we're talking about, problems constantly evolving, it kind of begs the question, like, why aren't we working more consistently and becoming a more constant force with some of our clients? So whenever we went to answer that question, some of the things that my partner and I were trying to solve for as a CPA firm owner is we wanted to annuitize our business. You see the financial advisors, and they've got this annuitized product, the value of their agencies are worth more than CPA firms. In fact, if you're tax only, you're starting to see that start to fall off, especially if it's in person. At least most of the business valuation people that I've worked with. And so, but in order to accomplish that, what we've learned is that, you have to productize your services and you have to standardize a lot of your delivery, which is a lot of work. And there's been a lot of issues with that over the years. But, that said, we also still want to bring a customized solution, because although no one is a snowflake, there is, a certain amount of adaptability that you have to have in order to change and flow as technology comes along and as your clients' needs change. So that's it's pretty important. So full stack accounting. This is what I think of whenever I hear full stack. It's just a bunch of pancakes. Sorry, I know it's a bit late for lunch, but
it's all right.
Yeah.
It's a delicious picture. It's better than
That's right. That's right. But for us, full stack. What this means to us is just we handle everything cradle to grave. So we're doing everything from helping you figure out what's coming next, handling your day-to-day accounting, and then handling the year-end tax preparation. So there's nothing, like I said, particularly creative about what we do, but it's rather how we do it and the way we deliver it that I think makes us a little bit more unique. So, and that really starts with our team approach to everything. It starts off with the CFO, who we consider the strategist of the business. So we really need to pull away all those tactical things away from this person's preview, because they need to oversee the processes and they need to understand them and then make sure the controls are in place, but they're not really going to be executing on any of this stuff. We need them focusing on helping to drive the business. So the level of the amount of team people will have on here really depends upon, the engagement. But for the most part, this is the CFO is always a key component of that. And so they're leveraging, their high financial IQ, but they're more business consultant than they are just a plain old CPA. And their tools are always going to be what we rely on heavily is the forecast and KPIs that drive the forecast. So the CFO has to have like a deep understanding of what the client goals are. They need to be able to know how the business makes money, and then architect and create the dynamic forecast that's fluid and then driven, like I said, by those critical KPIs. That's extremely important. But their focus is 100% forward. We're only looking back historically to understand how it's going to impact us going forward. Next up is the controller. This is the person, this is the gatekeeper, if you will. So everybody needs one of these. They're the analyst, they're the manager. So they're doing everything from, the old saying, like we were talking about earlier, garbage in, garbage out. This person's managing the short-term cash flow and ensuring financial statement accuracy. Otherwise, the CFO can't do their job. So they have to make sure clients are horrible at revenue recognition. So that's like 101 that we dive into and make sure that they're taken care of. Next on the team is the accountant. So this is usually a 40-year degreed accountant person. They can be a high-end bookkeeper, if you will, because they're handling a lot of the day-to-day, but really they're supporting the company, they're supporting the controller, they're helping delivering. So it's all about kind of leverage in this relationship, making sure people are in the appropriate lane. And then finally, if we're doing the taxes, planning, no matter what, is going to be a key component to the forecast. So we have a tax specialist that joins the team, and the level of involvement, again, depends on whether we're preparing the return or not, but there's some components to it that have to kind of be baked into the process. So this is what we consider to be the full stack solution. And the fact is that every client needs these people. Very few can go hire one that fits the bill. Because if you get a good CFO, they're probably not a very good accountant. If you get a tax specialist, any of those, most of the time, the internal person isn't doing your tax return. So we have the ability to bundle all of these fractionally and allow you to flex into them as you need them. So you might need 80% of an accountant today and 5% of the CFO. Well, next month, it might be a flip-flop, or next week, it might be a flip-flop. So we're able to work together, keep the consistency in the product, in the delivery, and then work within the team. So you've got project management and a full accounting staff at your fingertips, which is pretty unique. And again, if you have your own accountant internally, similar to the taxes, we don't really mind. We still bring at least the controller aboard to kind of watch over that. So, like I said, we don't have a ton of time here, and I could talk for hours about how we've screwed this up along the way. But I think the bigger thing is to focus on, best practices and things that we're looking at there. And so things that we've seen that have worked for us in the past that I would strongly consider, I would have you consider if you're planning on growing or thinking about this VCFO model, going virtual. So, whether you lose your office and by virtual, it can mean two things. It doesn't mean you have to go distributed. That's not what I'm talking about. You don't have to have people all over the place. What I mean by that is get comfortable using tools like this, like GoToMeeting or Zoom, in order to carry out your delivery. The world's getting smaller, and people measure everything they do in fractions of seconds these days. So who wants to drive across town and then wait in the lobby for 10 minutes? We just don't have time for that. We can be so much more efficient with our time, our clients' time. I mean, earlier this afternoon, I was in LA, Austin, Texas, Boston. I was all over the place, and I'm in Indiana. And I was able to hop from one city to one city, the other city, just one right after another. And it was really nice. And I had a client that was out of town, didn't affect them or our meeting. We were able to keep the agenda going and make sure things are going. So virtual is key. Like I said, whether or not everybody's in your home office or not, think about doing it remotely as opposed to going into their office. Take them to lunch if you want to meet with them. Second thing, annuitize your business. Whenever you're looking at this, embrace value billing. Go on that subscription-based model that I was talking about. Don't let your efficiencies and the fact that you're really good at what you do, or you invested in automation, earn you less money. I mean, let your value earn what you keep. So that said, full disclosure, this is probably where we screwed up the most. So value billing is a slippery slope, and you got to be super careful. A lot of times, it's a good argument whenever we get into it with people that are hourly only. Yeah, like sometimes win some, lose some, but it's the annuity that's so much more important. At the end of the day, if you want to bring value to your firm, I can assure you that an annuitized firm with recurring regular revenue is worth way more than a firm that just eats what it kills. So keep that in mind whenever, another reason why to grow that kind of service. And then, in terms of the value billing, just keep it simple. We have a super rudimentary thing. This is just a screenshot of a little bit of an older iteration of it, but we just go through it. We start with our base, and then we start adding on the tactical stuff and say, hey, do you want tax planning? We deliver 3 or 4 different options for the people so that they can kind of see what it looks like. And that kind of leads into the productizing your service. So, yeah, we do, the full stack, but what we do is we start with our base. That's our core. We hone in on that. And then, based on the different bolt-ons, people can see it and build their own custom package. And then they can see options like, hey, they'll start off saying, I want all this stuff. Then they see the price and they're like, you know what, I can do this and I can do this, but I can grow into that. And they can see how we can scale into what they're trying to do. So that's really important on the front end. On the back end, you got to standardize your delivery. So this is really important because, again, this isn't about being flat or generic, because you always want to deliver a custom product, but it doesn't have to be 100% custom. So consistency is really key, especially as you grow and you start adding 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 people to your team. This is where things can kind of go sideways on you. So what we've done to help with this is we've created a buffet of recurring meetings, topics each week. Week 1 is this, week 2 is this, week 3 is that, sub agendas, so that we can kind of follow an outline. Do we talk about it the entire time? No. It's like 5 minutes in, you're covering the base, you're making sure you're going through a little bit of the routine, because that's kind of our job too, is to pull the business owner out of the weeds, for that week, that hour, and just say, hey, focus, big picture. Remember, this is important. This is important. It's about accountability. So we talk about the lead and lag measures. Well, it's also about accountability, because without that, we have nothing. So that's kind of what the standardized meetings do. Also standardize how you deliver, use the tools. We haven't found the one all be all software either. What we found is it's just like some of the add-on stuff is ridiculous. So you're better off just like finding what the core product is within the software and then building off of that. So we use GoToMeeting for communicating with our clients externally. Sococo, our virtual office, for all of our internal communication, and then Slack is our channel between each other. We're able to keep everything in. I mean, those things have really helped us in our delivery. And then outgoing stuff like become the master of Expensify or Bill.com or Pipedrive for pipeline stuff. You know, those are, and we use Plain Guru for forecasting. So we don't use a lot of different softwares for different things. We just have, again, a wide variety of what we consider best performers in the industry. And then we build our own tools. So we were talking about automation earlier and stuff like that. We built our own standard cash flow template. We built our own financial statement template, our payroll grid, all of our KPIs. We kind of standardize those and just kind of create a library of those. Next thing, get sticky. I mean, one of the biggest things about being a consultant is that you're dealing just with the owner and you're just kind of talking to one person on the team and they're buying in and then they have a hard time executing. So what we've found that really works is create a leadership council on your client's team. Join the team. Then it's not the Adam show every week. I don't feel the burden. Now I've set the meeting a topic and I've talked about what we're going to do, but my job is to sit in there and listen and share ideas and look at the business through my, through the financial lens, and then just kind of vet things out. That helps me forecast and drive strategy and do those kind of things. So the stickier you can get with your clients and get interactive with other people on their team, yeah, super. I mean, big time stuff. And then I can tell you one of the things that hurt the most was, you got to be deliberate with your culture. So we spent a lot of time and money going through our mission, our culture, our core values to make sure they're in alignment to not only pick up the right people, get the right people on the bus kind of a thing, but also to make sure that we're getting the right clients. And what we found more importantly than that is whenever things start to deviate in process or whatever, we can always kind of go back to those core values and the team kind of gets it and we're able to just jump back into what we are. Get a vertical. So this is another thing that if you want to do value-based billing and you want to charge a premium for that, find a vertical. If you have 3 clients that are in a similar industry, that's your vertical. Doesn't matter. You don't have to have 100. You might only have 2. But as soon as you can start talking about what others do in their space, you become a subject matter expert. As soon as you understand with their vernacular, what they're talking about, you can start charging a premium for that. And because you are virtual, you have the ability to then also expand outside of maybe your city because people in other cities know that you're the expert of XYZ industry. So that can be important. We talked about the full stack team. Make sure you're leveraging people, which kind of leads into the next thing, which is automate. So what we're doing, we're talking about processes and all that kind of thing. We're looking to hire our first digital employee. So whenever we're talking about AI and robots, they can not only go across all of our software tools, but they can think and fix everything along the way. So we can do our 100 financial statements that took 300 hours to do, and we can do them all in 3 minutes or less. And they can fix the problems while they're doing them. So, and then we're tapping into API to do dashboards so that we can get real-time things. APIs scare me. I don't like my clients having access to real-time data all the time because they're false positives sometimes because the information hasn't been vetted. So I want to control that a little bit, but at the same time, I want the power of the API so that the data is just intermixed as fast as possible. So those are big things.
Yeah, that's some amazing things you guys are working on. As you just kind of laid it out, you guys have really got that virtual CFO vertical down soup to nuts. You've kind of figured everything out. What made you then kind of shift focus and say, hey, how can we help offer this for other CPA firms so they can offer to their clients? What made you make that kind of little leap over?
Yeah, the more of us out there, the better. It's a blue ocean. I mean, there's plenty of work for all of us. All these businesses that I mentioned, the majority of them are $3 to $20 million a year. And so if you really want to, 15 years ago when we started value-based billing, everybody's like, you're crazy, charge by the hour. Everybody does it now. We dipped into all of our clients' accounts and we ACH all of our fees 100%, 0 accounts receivable at the beginning of the week. 15 years ago, everybody's like, how do you get people to do that? Everybody does it now. that's the way I kind of look at this service too, in the full stack, the gig economy, outsource to experts. When clients come to me and say, okay, this is cool, this is a great temp solution, now when do I need to hire internally? My answer is never. You're not qualified to run an accounting team. You run XYZ business. Let me run the accounting team. Let me provide that solution for you. Let me leverage people that have real-time outside experience to help you run your business. It makes a lot of sense. So that's the big thing.
You guys are about 10 to 15 years ahead of the market. You've already got this down. So if I'm in a firm watching this, I'm saying, why do I start and try and invest and figure all this out with my team? There's no point. I'm just going to have Adam's team plug and play to my clients, and all those clients between $2 and $20 million, plug and play and just grow exponentially.
Yeah, like I said, we're working with CPA firms to help them figure out, scaling is the toughest part. So as you add team members, figuring out those processes, figuring out, and then every time you add a client, you're adding a person. So you're taking, a step back each time. We're able to come in, help out a CPA, figure out we'll let you use our team, and then you're the CFO, you're the strategist, so you stay on that and you don't have to worry about building your team. We've got it covered and we've already scaled it. So.
Perfect. Dr. Shaw, we're running out of time. Any final questions for Adam before we let him go?
I do not have any questions, but I do also I think echo the overall comments in that Adam's firm and Adam himself really does seem to be on the cutting edge, right, of how we can actually move from a compliance-based sort of outlook and mindset to a honestly forward-looking model mindset that actually helps us and our clients get more out of our business.
Thanks for tuning in today. I think everybody learned something from Adam and what his team was doing, no doubt. If you got questions, reach out to Dr. Sean or myself to get started. Don't forget, click that little button, subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay up to date. And as always, we challenge you to take action today to change the world and invest in yourself.